Connor McDavid, it's time to play the game. The Edmonton Oilers have just gotten goal lead in Game 1 of the 2024 Stanley Cup Final. You know why you're here. You know why we're talking about the result we are talking about. You know how this game ended as a 3-0 Florida Panthers victory. It's because the man in the crease did his job and then some. Sergei Bobrovsky, everybody, was tonight's most important, most valuable, and most rewarding performance because, my goodness, Sergei Bobrovsky had himself an absolute clinic as the Panthers take a 1-0 series lead with this 3-0 Game 1 victory. Now, I get it. You could say, 3-0. It seems like the Oilers didn't really get anything going. It seems like the Panthers just had control of the game. Unfortunately, that may actually not be the case if you dive into anything deeper beyond just the regular old score. If you go over to moneypuck.com, the deserved to win-o-meter for Edmonton was in favor of the Oil 90% to 10. The Oilers had a 90% chance to win based off of the expected goals that were scored, especially with their flurry of chances in the mid-second and mid-third periods. But the Florida Panthers, all they needed was literally one shot on goal, and that was it. Because even though this game had 5.65 expected goals for Edmonton and only 1.88 expected goals for Florida, the Panthers ended up striking quickly and early. They scored on their very first shot of the game that serves as the game-winning goal. Verhaeghe gets Florida on the board. He gets that dagger to go right through the heart of Edmonton Nation. And it comes in the form of a very odd coaching decision that directly impacted the way this 1-0 goal went in. Chris Knoblauch announced that there would be a pairing of Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci together once more in this Game 1, and immediately you started to see the results on that as the opening goal scored by Verhaeghe is a 2-on-1 rush that didn't need to be a 2-on-1 rush. Eventually it became Verhaeghe all by himself out in front because both Ceci and Nurse end up overcommitting to the wrong guy. Pass goes out in front, Verhaeghe is right there, he whacks it on goal and beats Stuart Skinner. 1-0 goal. Honestly, you can't really blame Skinner too much for that one. You would like to see him make a point-blank save when he needs to, but circumstantially, that wasn't really the best kind of play for a goalie to face in the opening few minutes of a game. So 1-0 Florida, that's the game winner. The 2-0 goal comes in the second period. It's a great play by Sam Bennett to take the puck off the ricochet off the end boards, throw it in front, and Evan Rodriguez picks it up, goes top cheese on Stuart Skinner. Not really much that a goalie can do there in that situation when he's being faced with a point-blank shot that's coming right after the puck gets thrown out in front. But that beats Skinner. It's 2-0, and then the empty net was scored by the Florida Panthers' Ito Luosterainen towards the end of the third. That's it. 3-0, all she wrote here. But if you wanted to talk about the dynamics of this game, yeah, the Florida Panthers won. Yeah, they only had 18 shots, but the Oilers had 32 shots on goal in this game, including outshooting Florida 12-4 in the first period. Now, just a quick aside here, you can say that from a territorial advantage, the Oilers were the much better team, especially in the first. But I wanted to read this tweet made by Thomas Drance at the beginning of the second period. So this is after the shots were 12-4 Edmonton at the end of that first period. Don't let the shot totals trick you, Drance said. Most of what the Oilers generated, including 9 of their 14 shots on goal, was generated with 97 on the ice. In non-McDavid minutes, the Oilers really struggled to break out, and the Panthers dictated pace, despite some notable sloppiness. Connor Mack had a really great game, honestly, in terms of his possession and what he was able to do in the offensive zone, but man, the Oilers could not buy a goal by Sergei Bobrovsky. He was stretching and diving and going all over the place to stop these pucks, and it's kind of funny because the biggest scares that the Oilers had in terms of potentially getting goals, I feel like they were off of weird plays where Bobrovsky kind of fumbled the puck while trying to pass it. As he gets out of his net trying to play the puck, that's when he's at his most vulnerable, not when it's a point-blank chance or a Oiler in front who has a really good opportunity in the lane. Nah, Bobrovsky stops those. It's the weird puck-handling moments that he seems to struggle with. But other than that, the The Oilers played a very strong puck possession game. They got a ton of chances. They had their power plays. They could not convert on those either. The Florida Panthers had a defensive answer to everything Edmonton threw on net in this game. Now, I know we had talked about that Thomas Drance tweet, talking about how the Oilers didn't really do much outside of McDavid minutes in the first period, but in the second and third, this is when the Oilers started to come into their own, and you could sort of feel the air. There was almost like a shutout aura coming out here in this one. By the time the second period flurry that the Oilers had came to an end around the 9-minute mark-ish remaining in the second, that's when it started to feel like, okay, it's 2-0. There's no way the Oilers are going to come back. As many good opportunities as they can get, as many beautiful rushes Connor McDavid can force himself, as he's trying to dangle through the entire Florida Panthers team. He's trying to solo it because he wants that Stanley Cup bad. As hard as he is back-checking, putting his stick on the ice, blocking passing lanes, and charging in, the Oilers, they're going to have to climb an insurmountable mountain if they wanted to come away with the victory in this game. And that mountain, his name was Sergei Bobrovsky, because, man, the stops that he was making, absolutely fantastic. Lots of penalties thrown out in this one, too. There were a few roughing calls. There was one big scrum at the halfway mark of the second that resulted in a bunch of minor penalties handed out to multiple guys. But other than that, the power plays, they all went cold in this one. The penalty killing was perfect for both teams. And ultimately, I feel like if this is setting the pace for game number 2, which is also going to be in Florida, you kind of have to hope that what the Oilers bring is a little bit different from what you had seen today, because of course they played well enough to potentially get a goal or two. They just couldn't beat Bobrovsky. But also when it comes to those D pairings, because Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci, these guys cannot be together at all anymore. They let up the 2 goals in this one. The first one, of course, being a bad read. The second one being another just kind of loose puck that gets tossed out in through the slot. Nobody there to take it away. So Chris Knoblauch, I honestly don't know what he's doing in terms of putting these guys back together, but ultimately, the Oilers' offense could not get it done either. They couldn't beat a very hot Sergei Bobrovsky. The biggest way to beat him is to go up high, especially when you have a little bit of extra time to load up and shoot. But a lot of these saves that Bob had to make, he was stretching out the pad, he was getting it with the low glove, even the few breakaways that he had to stop, low kick saves where he's extending the legs to the back post. There were a few beautiful opportunities that you would normally expect to be goals, but Bob stood tall and stoned out Connor Mack, Leon Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, everybody there. And as a result, the Oilers have a 1-0 deficit to try to overcome as they head into game number 2. I also saw some people complaining a little bit about the lines towards the end because you had McDavid and Draisaitl pretty much playing together for the third period, which is a system that they used against the Vancouver Canucks to varying levels of success. But you could kind of tell that in this game 1 against Florida, it kind of took some of the momentum away because the Oilers played very well in period number 2. They had a lot of possession, a lot of great chances, but kind of taking away that momentum, going off the beaten path and just kind of veering into unknown territory by bringing these guys and putting them back together instead of rolling with what was already working puck possession-wise earlier. You could say that could have been a slight error on the half of Chris Knoblauch. Of course, it's his very first Stanley Cup final. The guy's literally only coached 60-something games in the NHL, so he'll learn and he'll adjust as he gets through this series. That's exactly what the Oilers had done in all the prior series. They adjusted well against Dallas. They adjusted well against Vancouver. We'll see if they're able to do the same thing here against Florida after going down 1-0 in this Stanley Cup Finals series. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Florida Panthers shutting out the Edmonton Oilers 3-0 to kick things off in the Stanley Cup Finals of 2024. What are your thoughts on the way the game was played? What are your thoughts on Sergei Bobrovsky and his crazy record? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.